Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, non-binaries of all ages, welcome to How to Make a Literal Cat in your favorite RPG. I hope you're not here to learn to do character creation the right way, because this is a cat creation podcast. That podcast, by the way, partially hosted by me, Joel Holland.
The other part of that podcast is partially hosted by me, Avalon Irwin.
And guesting with us today is...
Hi, I'm MadFishMonger.
Welcome.
MadFishMonger.
Hello.
Now, I have to ask a clarifying question about Madfish.
Yes.
Are these fish... is the fish angry, or is it, crazy?
Well, it comes from a book by Robert Anton Wilson, and in it he tells a story of... sort of a story within a story of... You know how those fish tornadoes have come through? You know, where there's a weird tornado and then there's fish all over the lawn?
Yes.
And this apparently happened to the small town in England somewhere, except there hadn't been a storm. There were just suddenly, for no apparent reason, fish all over the town, all over the lawns. And someone described it as if some mad fishmonger had run through the town, throwing these fish wildly. The mental image of that, to me, was just really funny. And I was starting a live journal in 2001, and I needed a nickname, so I've been using it ever since.
Nice.
Understandable.
Okay, good to know. Glad I asked the question.
Is there any other backstory that you would like to share with us, particularly related to TTRPGs or podcasting?
I've been gaming for a really long time. I have been interviewed by the CBC in the past for being a LARP, and been in the paper and stuff for it. I used to be in a LARP that had over 100 people in it.
Hey.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
My LARP group never made the paper.
Yeah, it was a lot of... I had great admiration for the people who did the administrating end of that. It was good. And I have done some writing for the expansions of Capers, so I'm very familiar with the game. I like it a lot.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Spoiler alerts, by the way. The game we're playing this week is Capers.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about Capers?
Yeah. It is a superpower game. It's set in the Roaring '20s during Prohibition, and they're called Capers because in the teens, one of the first people to suddenly develop superpower did a very daring, broad daylight bank robbery. And so it was described, as a daring caper, where they displayed their superpowers. And so the name sort of stuck. And the game is played with playing cards instead of dice, which I really like because it, not only is it just a new and interesting way to play, with the probability factor in an RPG, but it also plays into it thematically because, there was also illegal gambling happening at the time, which involves a lot of card playing. So it all kind of, moves together, and it's all very thematically well thought out and interesting. And it's put out by Nerdburger Games, and all of Nerdburger Games are role-play focused with light character creation, mechanically. They're generally very light and very roleplay focused with, sort of low combat, and finding a lot of really fun and interesting ways to use your superpowers. Honestly, deciding what kind of superpowers you want, because you can also mix it, there's a way to mix and match. The possibilities are endless. It's the hardest part about making the character, is just deciding. The numbers part is easy. It's deciding what kind of powers you want to have. That takes a long time. And there's lots of lore. There's lots of really, really great lore to kind of get you sucked into the world and give you a lot of really good story hooks and concepts and ways to get into the mood of the game. Mm-hmm. It's really a lot of fun to play. I've taught a lot of people to play it, have run games of it at Gen Con. I had some really good times running it there. It's one of those, it's definitely one of those games where you learn by playing, and you really just kind of have to do a check a couple of times, and you'll pick it up.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There's a lot of wiggle room in terms of the details of your superpowers. So even if I gave the same powers to two different players, they may have it express itself completely differently. So yeah, it's a really fun game, and it's very easy to learn, and if you've never played a card-based role-playing game, it's definitely one I recommend trying, because the way it thematically ties together makes it really easy to pick it up as you go.
Awesome. I can't remember. Joel, have we done a card-based one on this podcast before? I'm pretty sure.
We've done a couple. One just kind of uses cards. I don't think it's the only, resolution mechanic. What was that called? Parcelings?
Yeah.
And then we also did C Issue X, which was also a superhero-themed game.
Right,
Ooh.
right.
I don't know if I've heard of that one.
We've done a lot of superhero-themed games, but superheroes are just so cool.
They really are. There's so much to do.
Yeah.
It'll take us a very long time to run through all the superhero-themed games that I know of, and I'm learning about more all the time.
Well, yeah, actually, 2 of the games that I've written for are superhero games. This, Capers, and Staged Heroism. But Staged Heroism is specifically a comedy game. Capers sometimes ends up a comedy, but it can go any way you like, you know.
Gotcha. Probably more up to the role players.
Exactly. We did a YouTube live show for a while. We went through a plot. It got pretty intense a few times. We got pretty emotional. That was great. And then, of course, we had some really goofy, hilarious moments as well.
Yeah. God, that is one of my favorite parts about role-playing is literally just crying about stuff that a group collectively made up in their head.
Yeah, exactly. You're sitting there like, ah! And then you're like, stop, and you're like, wait, what am I actually crying for? This never happened. Yeah. But it did.
It's like the world's most tragic inside joke.
Yeah. Exactly.
And other people are like, you just don't understand.
So, fun fact, the second game that you mentioned is another superhero game I've not heard of.
Oh,
so there's
well,
one more for you.
The list just keeps adding up.
There's so many ways to do it.
I mean, truly there is. There's a million different possibilities for a million different things. Like, it's great what you can do with TTRPGs.
Yeah. There's so many of them, you know, and I've been playing since the 90s, and I've played a lot of games, and, you know, it's I don't know, it's kind of different now, because there was a really fun aspect of going to the store and walking around, and, you know, there was the typical stuff, there was the D&D, and there was all the White Wolf stuff, but then it was often just the owners or people making requests is what would get other books on the shelves. So sometimes, you know, it would be some bizarre random game that only, you know, 20 copies were made or something like that. Yeah. And then, you know, next to some super common game, next to, you know, some other indie game. And it was really, really random kind of what you would end up having access to. But on the other hand, you go on a, you know, drive-through RPG or whatever, and you're overwhelmed with options.
Yeah.
Can be a little hard to know kind of where to, you know, to narrow it down. So it's hard to find a sort of, you know, but that's what podcasts like this are fun places for. It's a place to introduce you to a bunch of interesting, this is like the little store that you walk into that has all the weird random games on the shelf that you get to learn about.
Oh yeah.
And like, the other thing about that time, though, is like in the early 2000s, I didn't know TTRPGs in the early 2000s or the late 2000s. I don't think I started playing my first one until 2015. As I understand it, like, D&D's biggest competitor at the time was not a clone of D&D. It was Vampire the Masquerade.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. It was huge. So huge.
I did not know it was that big. And, I mean, before I started this podcast with Joel, I knew of like 5 TTRPGs, and I was like, how much content can we really cover with a podcast like this? Turns out, like infinity.
Infinity, yes. Yes, infinity. Yeah, because there's always something new, you know, and there's always somebody will come up with some genius new concept, or, you know, there's some new way to use dice or cards, or, you know. I was on another podcast, and we talked about card games, and we talked about D12 games, and we talked about, you know, there's card games, or there's games that use, like, there's a game that uses Jenga Tower.
What?
Oh, that's a horror game, isn't it? I think
so. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but yeah, it uses a Jenga Tower. And, like, 10 candles using actual candles and stuff like that. I mean, Someone's always got some clever idea.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, literally today, just started looking into joining a 10 Candles.
Nice.
It's one of those games that's really, if you're into, like, acting and, getting really into character and getting really, like, if you're willing to get into character, it can be intense, but also it's a really good, like, drama kind of game.
Nice.
Oh.
But anyway, it's time for us to make a cat mobster with superpowers.
Yeah. I mean, technically, you can also play law enforcement, but most people really want to play the gangsters. Yeah, most people want to play the gangsters.
Yeah, we only make fun characters on this podcast. We don't want to make some narc, dude.
Well, I don't think a cat would be a narc either. So
yeah, no way. I've seen Puss in Boots. I know what's up.
Anyway, before we actually get started on the character creation process, we do have one last little thing to deal with, and that's that this show has some rules of its own to follow.
Oh, right.
And those rules are to keep us on target.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I see the rules.
So, Avalon and I will read those off now. Rule number 1 here. We accept no cop-outs. We're making a cat. It's the exact animal that comes to mind when I say the word. No anthropomorphic races, no people turned into cats, no lions, tigers, no other cop-outs you can imagine either. I don't think I can think of a, 1920s mobster animal reference that's not a cat.
Lackadaisy.
Not some guy
Lackadaisy, yeah.
Yeah, not some guy they call the top cat.
Yes.
And yes, not Lackadaisy.
Yeah. Rule number 2 is we cannot use homebrew/house rules. Remember, brews are legal right now in the 1920s, but they're also illegal on this show. If the rules in the rule book don't explicitly allow us to do something, we count it as a rule broken. So if we come across rules as written versus rules as intended, we go with whichever one says no.
Rule number 3, if the game includes stats for a literal cat, those must be used or adapted to the game's character sheets. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah, right at the back.
Wow.
On page 150, there are some optional rules for animals with powers.
Animals with powers, right here on page 150.
Huh, how about that?
It's not cat-specific, but, it's a start.
I was thinking we might just go through the regular process for it, because I had a few ideas I wanted to bounce off of.
Okay.
Alright, we can cover those first.
Okay.
We'll come back. Rule number 4 is the character, class, background, playbook, job, what have you, must exist in the game's core rules or as part of an official expansion. Again, we can't use homebrew classes. They're illegal. Not real.
The Prohibition Office will come for us.
Exactly.
They really will. The cat can learn any skill available to its class, even if it's not something a cat could normally be trained to do. For legal reasons, I must tell you that there are no superpowered cats in real life.
Toots is the driving cat.
Rule number 6. If a tool would be physically impossible for a literal cat to use, even if comically downsized for them, they cannot use it. So, what are some 1920s tools? A Tommy gun?
I don't know.
Probably not.
Could a cat use a roulette wheel?
Yes.
It could spin it.
Yes, absolutely.
The Tommy gun would be hard because of because of kind of needing to hold it under your arm.
Yeah.
And then using the paw, I don't think they could really do that.
Nah. Cats typically have a hard time using any gun that is not the cat gun, which I have still not logistically worked out how it works.
It would probably be like a button they would just press. Put the paw down on it.
See, that's more thought than either of us have put into it.
Yeah, the way we described it was, it works. It just works.
It just works.
Made by cats for cats.
Exactly.
I mean, at some point, I am going to be making 3D model, figurines for as many characters as I can think of. So I am going to have to eventually make the cat gun.
Oh, yes. That'll be great, though. Maybe.
Where were we?
Rule number 7.
7, yeah.
Right. If a character sheet has a section that is meant to be filled out in collaboration with the whole table, we leave that blank so potential players can make it fit the group that they're playing with.
Okay.
And finally, rule number 8 is we have to keep track of every rule that we break. Typically not a lot, but in the Roaring 20s, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. And by the way, this isn't the real Roaring 20s. This is the romanticized world of gangsters and bootleggers, Roaring Twenties.
Well, it is in the lore. It does describe itself as an alternate universe.
Okay, gotcha.
There, as you go through some of the expansions, there's some sort of there's a accelerated technology and that sort of thing in this alternate universe. So.
That explains Caper's cyberpunk.
Yes. And Off-World as well is basically still set in the 20s, but it's in space.
Incredible.
Nice.
It's all like retro future, so. Yeah, actually I can talk to you about that. So one of the sort of rules about making a game set in a particular year, Craig decided, you know what, if it happened in the 20s, it can happen now. Didn't want to mess with that whole, this thing was invented in 1926 and it's 1923, So if it was happened in the 20s, it's kind of all happening at the same time, just for the sake of,
gotcha.
No headache for the GM kind of a thing.
Not too much lore to keep track of.
Exactly. And also because it's giving you alternative lore. Sometimes it can just be too many things to keep track of when you're dealing with, dates and exact numbers and things like that. So just don't bother with that.
That's exactly why time doesn't exist in any TTRPG I'm running.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They're like, how much downtime do we have? And I'm like, I don't know, a week, I guess?
Some?
Buddy once told me.
How much time do you need to hone your skills as a samurai? I mean, however much it takes, We'll say you can do it in 2 days.
Well, they say that takes, 10,000 hours?
Yeah, you gotta put the 10,000 hours in.
Yeah, exactly. So, back to Capers. There's sort of a couple of fun bonus thing called Moxie that you can use. And Moxie allows you to do a number of different things that give you a little bit of control over the game. You can use it to make some changes in the scene. So you can gain and lose Moxie also in part through roleplay. And some of the things that you pick when you're starting your character creation have descriptions that involve describing when you can get Moxie. So the first thing that you pick is your identity. So it's sort of your core guiding principle for your character. If you're like a manipulator, you find ways to make others do what you want. Gain Moxie when you get everything you want out of somebody else. Or you're a planner, so you gain Moxie when your plan comes off without a hitch. So there's a number of options there, but it's sort of like, you gain it is, on the GM side, it's rewarding you for roleplay, but on the player side, it's like you get extra motivated by sort of being most true to yourself.
Gotcha.
Which is, I think, a lot of fun.
Neat.
And there's sort of you have an identity, a virtue, and a vice. And so, you can kind of mix and match those in such a way that you could make all kinds of, really interesting characters. And yeah, vice is just to remind you that you're not perfect. Sometimes, your characters aren't little angels, especially if they're gangsters. So they may or may not have a bad habit or two.
Listen, I've never met a perfect person, so I don't expect there to be a perfect gangster either.
Exactly. And there's one in particular I think is extremely cat. So I think that would be a good place to start making our cat.
The identity, virtue, and vice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So having a look at the identity...
Do I actually need a deck of cards for this?
No, you don't need... You only need the cards when you're actually playing. You don't use the cards in character creation.
Okay.
But when you are playing, you need a full deck of cards with 2 jokers. Because the jokers are your critical fail and critical success.
Interesting. That's
Gotcha.
There are also, you can get, the artist Beth Varney also made some Caper-specific cards. You can get custom cards that have, amazing art. And so, there's one that says good Joker, and there's one that says bad Joker. Yeah, and so you get in your entire deck. So every person at the table, every player and the GM will have their own full deck of cards.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So the handy thing, of course, is that you can just buy a dollar store deck of cards. That's all you need. Mm-hmm. It's not, you don't need...
That's what I did.
Yeah, you don't need anything fancy.
Yeah, the more games we've found that used a deck of cards, I was like, I should probably get a few decks of cards. And so I found a pack of like 20 decks of 54 cards for $10.
Oh my gosh, 20
and so
decks.
Well, that's amazing.
They're not very high quality cards,
I mean,
but like
still, that's a lot of cards.
Well, but the nice thing is if you decided to run capers for people, you could just give the cards away. They could just take them home.
Yeah.
And in the
what am I gonna do?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
you could do like an insane magic trick with with all those decks of cards.
354 pickup.
I'm good.
There are options in the character creation if you wanted to randomize.
Okay.
You can use cards. Because they do have associated cards. And so if you were you didn't have a character idea and you wanted to make a random character, that might be a fun challenge, just kind of randomly pull some cards and see what you get.
Okay.
It sounds like you did have an idea, though, so let's hear what you got.
Well, I mean, there's a few of them that are very cat. So there's Bee's Knees. You're suave and you know it. Gain moxie when you impress others with your confidence.
Yep, very cat-like.
That's very cat. Crackerjack, you're great at the things you do and you enjoy proving it. Gain moxie when you succeed at something difficult without any complications. I mean, if you've ever seen a cat, like Cat Bird or whatever, they're so proud of themselves and walk around with their tails in the air.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
The leader, some cats are leaders. You gain moxie when they follow your lead, but also, some cats are loners. So that's optional, kind of depending on how you want your cat.
Okay.
I think those were kind of but there's also Trickster. That's definitely a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Or Sidekick, supporting your compatriot. You gain moxie when you help your boss accomplish something and boost their confidence. Some cats are very companion,
That's true.
I kind of like Bee's Knees. Like I saw that one immediately before you even said anything.
Yeah. I think that one. I think that's the one.
Yeah.
That's very cat. Cat is suave. Oh, well, you don't have to pick a name immediately, but we can workshop a name.
I mean, I do have a name, because we have a...
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we have a user-submitted cat from one MadFishMonger named Ainsel.
Ainsel, yes. Ainsel, my cat.
Ainsel.
Yes, he is my boy.
How is that spelled?
Ainsel.
Okay, cool. Just like an Elden Ring.
I wonder if that's related.
No. It's from a Scottish fairy tale. It means my own self.
Gotcha.
Because he's a fey cat. So virtue is sort of the best quality of this cat. There's so many, I think best friend is an option.
Mm-hmm.
Dignity or loyal, I think would probably be the closest to cat. Maybe reliable.
Yeah, I was looking at reliable as an option.
But I feel like maybe dignity. I think a cat would be very concerned with their reputation.
Yeah, especially one whose main identity is the Bee's Knees.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It fits very well with Bee's Knees.
Yep.
I think, mock your vice for the greatest weakness. I think arrogant, not backing down when you think you're right,
That's in line with the others.
Mm-hmm.
or vain. I think if we're gonna go along the same line, arrogant or
Okay.
vain would be the best. I'm kind of feeling vain.
Highly of your own appearance? Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Always gotta be impeccably...
Impeccably groomed.
Yes, nice tidy.
Yeah,
whiskers.
that's the word.
Keep your whiskers clean, kid.
Keep your whiskers clean, kid.
I don't want to see no hairballs up in there.
I'm gonna send you off to see Hairball Jones. And the next step is traits. And I don't know if you've noticed on the character sheet,
Mm-hmm.
but your 6 traits spell capers.
Whoa, that's so cool.
Whoa.
Oh!
It's charisma,
Clever.
agility, perception, expertise, resilience, and strength.
Nice.
So charisma obviously is how you get along with people, how interesting and sort of attractive you are. Agility is your physical dexterity and gymnasticsness. And perception is how much you notice about things as you look around. Expertise is your ability to perform specific tasks. So if you know how to knit, or you're a mechanic, or something along those lines. Resilience is how tough you are, how hard it is to take you out, and strength has to do with your physical strength. Your traits are usually rated between 1 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Capers can get higher rakes, but that's a superpower specific sort of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to have one trait that uses 1, so we got a dump stat. We're going to have one trait that has a score of 3, so that's going to be our most used stat.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest are going to have a score of 2. Now, this is the time where you also need to think a little bit about the superpowers that you want to use, because, of course, you want to have the highest point in the superpower-related trait. And so it depends on sort of what you want. If you're like a shapeshifter and you turn into goo, you probably want high agility, because that would allow you more movement. If you were playing, a super strong character, obviously you would have super strength. So I think as a general rule, a cat would have agility and perception as their highest.
And see, I was thinking in line with this character's personality, it might have charisma and
Maybe
agility.
that's charisma and agility,
what I was thinking, was charisma.
I think that's a good idea. And then I guess strength or expertise or resilience would be the dump stat.
Sorry, what is expertise again?
It's like your ability to do specific tasks or knowledge of specific tasks.
Okay.
Like being a surgeon or a mechanic or something.
Yeah, okay. I was thinking resilience, but expertise that's also a good option.
Mm-hmm. Cats aren't really known for their tool use.
Yeah.
Nah. And this cat can't use tools unless we make...
If you were making like a crow, I think, would have a higher expertise score because they have the ability to use tools and conceptualize those.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Cats, not so much.
So, do we think expertise should be our 1?
Yeah, I think that works.
You've convinced me.
And then the rest are 2s.
And then you're going to have a trait defense. And the trait defense is going to be shown in a playing card number. And so this is going to be the number that they have to get higher than in order to beat your score. So if you have a trait score of 1, your trait defense is 8.
Okay.
Everything with a trait score of 2 is going to have a trait defense of 9. And the one with 3 is going to have a trait defense of 10.
So this is like if an enemy is attacking you, they have to...
Yeah.
And they're attacking based on charisma, they'd have to draw higher than a 10 for our cat.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Alright, cool.
And
Yep.
The next step is skills. Skills are specific things that your character has a natural affinity, or they've studied, or that sort of thing. Your character gets 2 plus their expertise score. So a 10. Oh, here comes my cat, Dudley. He has decided to get right in my face. Hello. His name is Mr. Step Dudley. He's a big guy.
Put him on the podcast. What does he got to say?
He's not very talkative right now, actually.
Man, a few words.
Yeah, no, not when he wants something. But he's content right now. There's squirrels outside, so he's on hunting mode.
I see.
So you are going to get 3 skills.
Sweet.
And there's a list here on page 17. We've got acrobatics, athletics, business, conveyances. Conveyances is like driving, so you can pick anything from but it can cover. It's vague because it allows you as a player to decide if that means you know how to drive a race car or a regular car, or you can fly a plane, or you know how to drive a tank. That's kind of on you as a player to kind of decide. Deception, diplomacy, fisticuffs, fighting with your physically, guns. Humanities is things like psychology, sociology, just kind of knowing
like the brain.
Those, yeah.
Okay.
Or headology, as Terry Pratchett put it. You got insight, so just sort of being able to gauge other people's intentions. Mechanicals, so again, that's vague if that means you know how to fix cars, or you know how to fix a plane, or you know how to, build an atomic weapon.
Build a robot.
Build a robot, exactly. And melee weapons, separate from, so weapons-wise, we have fisticuffs, guns, melee weapons, and ranged weapons. Separately, sciences, as opposed to humanities, leans into more like, actually having studied biology or chemistry, physics, or whatever.
Okay.
Sense is more like physical senses, so being very aware of your surroundings, maybe you're really trained in listening very well or something. Sleight of hand, how good you are with your pickpocketing, stealth, and willpower. So I think a cat would have acrobatics and stealth.
So we get 3, right?
Yeah, you get 3, but I'm thinking acrobatics and stealth are 2 things that jump out to me.
Those are typically the top of our list when creating a cat.
Mm-hmm. They're kind of known for that.
Sleight of hand could be good too, if we rather have that than stealth or something.
Maybe deception or diplomacy. I feel like those would be good character fits.
Yeah,
maybe.
I was also looking at deception.
Yeah, if you want, do we think our cat would be more, I don't know, malicious or...
As we've established many times on this podcast, cats do have an affinity for crime, so malicious intent is
so deception
pretty
over diplomacy. Yeah, yeah. We're going to use that charisma for evil.
And see, we're going to be a criminal no matter what, though, because
That's
we're a mobster,
true.
right?
Yes, exactly.
And we're a cat who cares about our reputation.
Oh, that's
yeah,
true.
You're right. You've convinced
So maybe
me.
the deception is exclusively for lying to cops.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's either the deception is for lying to cops or it's a focus on diplomacy, one or the other.
To make friends with all the mafia
Yeah.
types.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could go either way.
I like the idea of a diplomatic cat. There's like a couple mobsters going at it in like a battle of words. And it's just like, all right, I counter you with this. And he just pulls out a cat and puts it on the table. It's like, thoughts.
Ainsel the Diplo-catic.
Yeah, leans back in his chairs and presses his fingers up to each other like,
Discuss. Oh, that's great.
All right, so we're going diplomacy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Diplomacy.
Absolutely.
Ansel the Diplo-cat is pretty great. So now here comes the fun part, and this is picking your powers.
Oh, wait, did we decide the other 2 that we're throwing on?
Oh, yes. I believed it was acrobatics.
Stealth and acrobatics, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, just yawned really quiet.
Well, you gotta wake up, Joel. It's mid-roll time.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Welcome to halfway through the episode. Hope your listening is going very well.
Me too.
We've got some things to talk about, mostly the show.
Yeah. Also, the yawn that definitely was not captured on my my recording.
Oh.
Apparently.
You could just start with me telling you to wake up.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
But yeah, we're here to tell you about the show and the various ways to get involved and, learn more about the hosts.
Well, I mean, who cares about us, right? You're here for the show. You can learn more about that by going to badgertrove.com/literalcatpod. That'll get you to our basic info page and also a list of links for where to find us online, as well as, probably our most recent 5 episodes. All just right there in one convenient location. So you can send your friends, tell them, go to badgertrove.com/literalcatpod. They'll get addicted to the podcast, and then they'll click the links.
Yeah. Send your friends chain email showing them all, if you don't send this link to 10 people, you die in 7 days. That's a good way to spread the word of the show.
Yep. Speaking of email, we have an email address. Don't send chain emails to it unless they are pictures of your cat, game recommendations, or, I don't know, collaboration requests.
Yeah.
If you have a game you want us to do, if you have a game you want to share with us, we still need guests for Wild West Winter, which is coming up in November at this point.
I know, we're literally days away from fall, so we only 1 season left till that. We gotta make get some bookings in,
Yeah, what he said. Anyway, if you're not all that interested in email, you can always go to social media. We've got a Twitter, we got a Tumblr, we got a Blue Sky, we got a YouTube, all at Literal Cat Pod. We got a TikTok at Literal Cat Podcast.
So many sites.
Yeah, we got the sites.
But if hearing us talk about the show on those sites isn't enough, and you want to become more involved, you can always check out the Discord channel that we have, or the Discord server that we have at badgertrove.com/Discord. There will be a link to the Discord server there. You can join in, talk to other fans of the show, talk to me and Joel occasionally whenever we pop in, and you get to see some previous collaborators if they are in a talkative mood. I cannot guarantee whether they will or will not interact.
I mean, more important than them, though. Who cares about those guys, right? What should be important to you is that it'll connect you to other listeners of the show that you like.
Exactly. Make new friends over on this Discord server, you know?
That's our hope, anyway. It's also a Discord server where Avalon and I talk about, like, our other projects. Like, we're both streaming at this point, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, you can also talk to people who may know some stuff about other things that we do.
Yeah. You can get in on the ground floor of other projects if and when we discuss them there.
Yeah. You can go ahead and mute the Go Live Alert channel. That's okay. We don't care. That out of the way. The Discord is called the Badger Trove Discord because it's for all of our projects combined. And we do that under the Badger Trove name. So you could also just go to like patreon.com/badgertrove.
Yeah. Over there, if you want to support us in a more direct fashion, we have a few tiers that you can check out. You know, our first tier is what, $2 a month?
Yep, $2 a month. That gets you VIP status in the Discord. It gets you access to our production calendar. That calendar, right now, all that's on it really is our podcast stuff. But it also might be a good way to see what episodes are coming out months in advance, because we've had some stuff scheduled out pretty far this year, at least.
Oh, yeah. And we hope to continue that trend.
It would be very nice if we could.
Yeah. Another way to support the show, less directly, but it does help, is rating and reviewing. Go ahead, give us a rating on your favorite podcasting app. 5 stars, hopefully, please. And leave us a review. You know, it lets other people who are checking out the podcast look down there and be like, oh, what do people have to say about this? And they can see your review of how cool we are and how awesome and funny this podcast is.
In all seriousness, though, rating and reviewing is probably the best way right now that you can help us. Aside from word of mouth, it is the best form of advertising we have. If you leave a review or even just 5 stars on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., then their sorting algorithm is it'll be more likely to show our show to potential new audience members through their services.
Yep. So get out there, give us some rates and reviews, and get us into other people's ears.
Yeah. Of course, if you do have friends that you can just talk about this sort of thing too, they might also, like tabletop RPGs. And if you like this show and you like playing tabletop RPGs, maybe you even like playing capers. Maybe you like the cat we made this episode based on our guest's cat. You could go to bit.ly/literalcatpod and download the character sheet for this and any previous episode or future episode.
Exactly.
Assuming they're out by now.
Assuming you're listening to this in the past, or you are a time traveler. But yes.
Hey, if you're a time traveler, could you, give me a hand with something? You'll know when to find me.
All right, that definitely didn't sound sinister at all. But but yeah, those are just various ways you can check out the show, see what we're doing, and tell your friends about it, or get more involved. All that fun stuff.
Okay, they did not just pop up in my room, so I have to believe that none of our audience are time travelers.
Damn, unfortunate.
Yep, we tried.
We did try. Maybe next time. Maybe next week time travel will be invented.
Well, when time travel is invented is irrelevant.
Maybe. We don't know how it works yet.
No, but I can say with almost absolute certainty that no one who listens to this show will ever time travel. Because if they did, then they would appear around this area to give me a hand with something.
I see.
Maybe I'm being too vague. I don't know.
Yeah, you might need more information before you can cross time travelers listening to our show off the list completely.
All right. Well, we can worry about that later. Anyway, little flaw in this episode on our end. Our guest was not given a chance to plug anything at the end of the episode, so I am going to take the liberty of doing it for them. The Capers RPG, which we are talking about right here, right now, this episode, actually has a ongoing Kickstarter. Actually, by the time this episode comes out, it'll have like 1 day left. So if you are listening to this the day it came out, then maybe you can go back that Kickstarter.
Mhm.
But if not, then keep an eye out for Capers Expanded, because our guest was a contributing writer to it once again.
Yeah, very exciting stuff. So yeah, get on that. Again, if you're listening to the episode day of, get on that immediately. No waiting, no hesitation.
No time for hesitation. Literally no time left. You've got a matter of hours before this thing is closed.
Well, now that we put the pressure on the audience, I'm going to throw that pressure onto you. Joel, what have you been up to recently? What do you have to plug?
Well, let's see. Last month, I beat Dragon Age Origins and both the story-relevant DLC on stream. So I'm in the middle of Dragon Age 2 at the moment on my streams over at OMammerVT, which is my name on every social media site now.
Nice. We love the consolidation, the consistency.
I have a consistent brand identity.
Huge. That's big in this day and age.
I did my best. It took me a while, but I got there.
So where else can they find that consistent brand identity at?
Oh, Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok, Blue Sky, YouTube, Twitch.
Lots of places.
Yeah. Anyway, that's about all I've got. What about you? What are you up to?
Oh man, I am up to stuff. That stuff right now mostly just being streaming. I'm back. I'm a little more consistent. I'm gonna hopefully keep it that way. I've been streaming Borderlands 3. I have been going through some DLC that I never finished on there. I just finished Bounty of Blood at the time of recording, and I most likely moved on to Psycho Krieg and the Fantastic Fuster Cluck, or I am on a new character by the time you're listening to this. I do have some plans to stream some other stuff. There is this card shop simulator that I've become addicted to, and a couple other games that I'm looking into streaming. I do also plan on continuing my Resident Evil adventures come October. So, which I believe, wait, when does this episode come out?
October.
Yeah, this month. Gonna be playing Resident Evil 4, finally.
Actually, wait, no, this one... Yeah, no, this comes out in October. My bad.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be playing Resident Evil 4, the 2005 version, which I have been told is the good version of it.
Or does it?
Does it?
Yeah, it comes out in October. My bad.
Okay. But yes, you can come check that out over on twitch.tv/Avalon Alchemist, all one word. And you can also find me on various other sites at Avalon Alchemist, such as Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok, and Blue Sky.
Nice.
But that is currently all I am up to.
Oh yeah, guys, it's time to join Blue Sky. You can finally post videos over there.
Let's go, dude. We love more features.
For real. Anyway, I think that's it for us.
Yep. We'll get out of your hair and back to your ears with the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Is that weird to say? I don't know.
It is definitely weird to say.
Okay. Well, goodbye, everybody.
So, the hardest part is the powers. So, you have to start 3 options. Now, there's another couple of other alternative options, optional things you can do here. We're going to keep it simple, and we're just going to go with powers.
Okay.
Because there's an optional way of, like, you don't actually have superpowers, but you have access to items that give you superpowers. You can have, like, a ray gun or a, backpack, whatever. So we're just going to keep it simple. And so you can either have a minor power at rank 2, 2 minor powers at rank 1, or a major power at rank 1. So the powers in the game are split up, obviously, into minor and major, and the way that you can, sort of split this up, obviously opens the door to lots and lots and lots of individual characterization in terms of, like, making an interesting character.
Now, here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to use from the list of animal-specific powers at the end of the book, or do we want to just say F it and make a character from anything?
See, my thought was kind of anything, because there's some more fun here that I think, because some of those powers are great, but they're not maybe so cat-specific.
That's fair. Joel, what do you think? Like, would we be breaking our own rules if we didn't use something from the back of the book?
We might be.
It is technically an optional rule, so...
That is fair. It says if you want to shake up the threats.
Well, an animal can have any power you want it to have. That said, powers that require conscious decisions aren't really ideally suited and should rarely be used with animals.
Okay.
Mhm.
But, let's read that first sentence again. An animal can have any power you want it to have.
There we go. All right. My conscience has been cleared. We can do whatever.
So, a few that I had considered. There's a lot. There's a lot of options. There are some there's alter form, because cats are liquid.
True.
And this actually allows you to turn into liquid, so that's an option. There are some other dimensional manipulation, or I believe there is flight as an option. A flying cat is just funny.
Yeah.
Prehensile feature, so the cat's tail could be more prehensile. It sort of makes it stronger and able to, hold objects, or, the cat could, hang from their tail, sort of thing.
Oh, so it could use a Tommy gun.
Ooh.
Yeah, with the tail, yes. My other thought, there's telepathy. It's an option, because that's just funny.
Ooh, I see probability manipulation.
Mm-hmm. That would be funny.
That is a good one.
Because then the cat's just very, very, very lucky. Speedster might be funny. Just a ridiculously fast cat.
Oh my god.
Or invisibility.
Always got the zoomies.
Speak with
Yes!
Oh, yeah, wait, yeah. Those are some
Super
fast zoomies, yeah. Sorry, I see on the list here there's speak with objects, which is definitely not something we're gonna go with, but I love the idea of a cat that people can't understand, just looking at a Rubik's Cube or something and being like, meow, 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 meow. It's just why is that cat? Why does he hate that Rubik's Cube?
He's having an argument.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite superpower, and it's too bad that it's not really appropriate for the cat. But
it's like
as a GM, it's as a player, it's so funny to have to look or think about in a room. What object could I use to get clues from? But then as a GM, you're like, what does a beer bottle sound like?
Yeah, exactly.
Or, what would the rug know about what happened in this room? And you find yourself, asking yourself these ridiculous questions.
Hey, GM, I need you to roleplay this chair.
Yeah. And there's another power that's super agility.
Okay.
Or super charisma. So there's super any trait. And then, I did want to bring up, as an option, Capers Noir is one of the expansions.
Okay.
It is set. Okay. It has more of a 1940s sort of film noir style, and because of the Great War, ghosts and other sort of supernatural creatures have broken through the veil. And it is in some people, sometimes cats will look like they're sort of staring at nothing and then run away. Sometimes people are like, the cat's seeing a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought,
that is canon to this podcast, that all cats can see ghosts.
Yep.
So my other thought was, there's an optional minor power called Shadow Control, which makes me think of my late cat, Jin. He was called Jin because that means gold. And he had these golden eyes, and sometimes he would, that's all I could see of him, because he was just this invisible cat. And I would search the entire house for him, and eventually, he'd wake up, and all I would see is these little eyes somewhere.
Yep.
So, Shadow Control is a power, so you can kind of hide and move and manipulate shadows. And a major power is Contact Spirit. The cat could call upon a ghost to talk to and get clues and interesting things from. So I just thought that would bring that up as an option.
Okay.
But obviously, just one of many. And the game does allow for, you want to make your own power. It's not too hard.
I don't know that we have time for that.
No. I'm giving that as an op, just if people are interested in the game.
Yeah. Let's see. Where was the one about, the prehensile feature?
Oh, that's in Minor.
Yeah. I'm really liking the idea of the probability manipulation with prehensile
Yeah.
feature.
Yes.
And you just have this incredibly lucky cat who can wield a Tommy gun
Yes. I love it.
with its tail.
Yes.
I mean, isn't a tail already a prehensile feature?
Well, this sort of...
Not in all animals.
Yeah, I mean,
That's fair.
a cat can't, it's not like a possum where they could, hang from their tail.
That's true, yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
the prehensile would then, theoretically, make this tail
Just
usable in that
Yeah,
fashion.
just more...
Yeah, the idea of a prehensile limb or whatever is you can grip things with it,
Okay.
right? So a cat can't grip things with its tail.
Yeah. So here it says, the description specifically, it functions as another limb. It can hold items and operate control. Now, powers in this game work by having a sort of generalized constant use, and then you have boosts. Most boosts require a small amount of concentration. So it allows you to do something a little bit extra with your power. So as a general rule, you can swing around on your tail, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to, there's an option here for grapple, or an option for attack. So, normally you just swing around with it, but now somebody made you angry, so you're going to punch them in the face with your tail, right?
Yeah.
And the mechanics of the game work by you having the numbers in each of your traits and skills and that sort of thing tell you how many cards you have to pull. So say you have up to 3 cards.
Okay.
In this particular instance.
All right.
What you'll do is you'll pull out the first card, and you can look at it, and then you can decide, do I want to take a chance and draw another card? Because maybe you got a 4,
Mm-hmm.
and you know that's not good, but is your next one going to be any better? You don't know. You shuffle the deck, right? So you can pull up to 3, and then Moxie allows you to do a few more other things with them, and you can draw another card, you can go back to a card that you drew previously, that kind of thing. But when you're using a boost, because of the added concentration, it means that you have one less card to draw.
Okay.
So the boost gives you more power, but it also gives you a very slightly less chance of success. It's about capers, however, is you can count cards. It's okay.
It is a valid strategy.
It's a valid strategy. Because, and even if you can't count cards, which you will know, simply, if you're look, my last 6 or 7 draws have all been number cards. I've got to have a face card coming up, just by the law of probability of how many cards are in this deck, So you can decide, it gives you a lot of agency. So you can decide, you know what, I'm gonna flop this one, because I'm pretty sure I've got a high card coming up, and I'm gonna wait for, the clutch moment in the boss fight or whatever.
Gotcha.
So it gives you a little bit of options there when you're making your decisions about playing, which I think is a lot of fun and, quite different from the way the mechanics of a lot of other games. So when you start, you pick 3 boosts from each. So we're gonna just take each, since we're picking 2 powers, they're just gonna get 3 of each. And when you level up, you can add more boosts, or you can add more powers. So you can either, when you level up, you can choose to enhance the power you already have, or add more, which also characters infinitely sort of different. So I think for prehensile, grapple, attack, and speed, maybe speed or swing, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if a cat would really want to swing through trees. Although, if Doubly could swing through trees, there would be a lot of dead birds in this neighborhood.
Jeez.
I think grapple, speed are good. I can't decide behind the other 3, or between the other 3. I'm just not sure any of them are fitting of the character that we've made thus far.
Yeah.
Because we're not good at attack.
Yeah,
No.
So that means attack and parry are both probably less good. And swing boost does not necessarily sound like something our character would do. But it might be the thing that they're best at.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe swinging is, a charismatic cat could also make a good spy.
Yeah. Oh, so swing
True.
from the rafters and hide.
Swinging from the rafters could give you a good place to hide.
True.
Yep.
And grappling might be a good way to disable a guard, right? Sneak up behind them,
Yeah.
wrap your tail around their neck, knock them out. and probability manipulation. The fun thing about using this one is that it allows you to look at the cards.
Yeah. Hold on. Wait. Are we selecting one of those boosts to go?
We're taking grapple, speed, and swing from prehensile feature.
Yeah. And now we're going to take 3 from probability. So typically, the effect is that you can look at the top card on your deck and place it in your discard pile if you want to.
Okay.
So only one deck can be manipulated at a time, but your boosts are control, which allows you to look at the top 3 cards of anybody's deck.
Jeez.
Rejection allows you to look at the top card of anyone else's deck and place it in their discard pile if you want to. At the beginning of your turn, place the top card of your discard pile onto the top of your deck, and then your turn ends. And reveal, which allows you to look at the top card of anyone else's deck.
And you can tell them what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we get 3 of these, right?
Yeah, so you get 3 of these.
I feel like control and reveal are probably good.
Yes. I kind of like rejection, too, because it's like, you could do that to the GM.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
So you could, like, take the top card off and go, oh, that's a good card, I don't like that, and you could throw it in their discard pile.
Jeez.
And I feel like a cat would absolutely do that if they could take the opportunity.
Oh, yeah, it'd just be like, hey, let me take a peek here. Ooh, just slide that over.
You're not winning, I am.
Yeah.
But I like those specifically because they share the effect with the other players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that just having this cat on your team could make you luckier.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why they keep him around.
Control, rejection was last one, reveal.
Yeah, and then all we have left to do is fill out a couple of more numbers on the sheet, and then I can just give you a very quick description of like what would happen in a round.
All right.
We have a few things to go over here still, looks like.
Unless those are just the numbers you're talking about.
The body, mind, hits, speed.
Body, mind, hit, speed. So body is your agility defense.
Bonuses provided by the powers, which I don't think we have.
No.
We don't have that.
Body, our agility defense is 9, so that's it. That's all we got.
Yep.
Yep.
And mind is your perception defense, plus powers, but we didn't pick any powers for that.
Okay, so 9.
And hits is the only one where we have to do math.
Oh boy.
Cool.
So hits is 4 plus 2 times resilience score, plus 2 times charisma score.
Plus 20 is 38, plus 4 is 42.
So your resilience score, not the defense score.
The actual, okay, the score. So 2 times resilience and 2 times charisma. So easier math. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus another 4 is 14.
14. That's actually quite a lot for a cat, for having, especially it's that high charisma.
Yeah.
So the character speed is 30 feet, but we did take that bonus, but that only applies when you're using.
Yeah.
You will start with 3 Moxie, but it'll fluctuate all the time.
Gotcha.
And you start at first level. If you want to go through gear, you can do that. Buy the book, you have $150, and so you can buy things with that. But we don't need to worry about that too much. You can just give him a Tommy gun.
Cool.
That's, of course, what he wants to have, right?
Oh, yeah, easy.
So where's the gear section? Just so we make sure we know how much a Tommy gun costs, and we can do that.
Just look into
Would it be in goods and services, question mark?
Yeah, it's under goods and services, yeah.
Okay, general equipment, services, food and drink, entertainment, transportation, firearms. Here we go. Tommy gun costs more than we have.
200. Oh, yeah, I just found it. $225. You can have a shotgun, or a rifle, or a Derringer. A Derringer is $12.
That's pretty.
A Derringer is a pistol,
Yes.
right?
Derringer is a small pistol that holds 2 rounds each. Just a teeny thing.
We're not gonna miss. That's fine.
Okay, so Derringer. We probably need bullets for it too.
Yeah.
How many bullets do you think we need?
How much should they cost again?
Oh, $6 for
Does it say?
50? Oh, we're good. We're only spending $6.
Okay.
So Derringer.
That's a lot of money for the time, I think.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, $12. Whew, that's like half a paycheck.
Yeah.
do we need something to hold all that ammo, or
Oh, yeah, you should buy a little backpack. A little kitty backpack. You have a little kitty backpack.
we got to be able to carry that somehow?
So let's see. Currently,
Oh,
we're
here
at
it is,
132 with the Derringer and bullets. Where's our backpack?
A lot of the things in here are are a lot of fun. Yeah, I think it's mostly just to kind of give you most games I've been in, we've never been particularly finicky about how much money you have. But the nice thing is to have just sort of a general idea of how much things cost at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think the cat needs a set of lockpicks.
$5 for lockpicks?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, $5. Nitroglycerin. No.
Jeez. You can buy a gallon of paint for 250, or not 250.
I think he needs little glasses too. $10 spectacles.
Do we have a hat? We need that. What's the hat called? The fedora.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Men's hat.
Yeah. Men's hat. $4.
Okay.
There you go. And a tie, silk tie.
Yes.
This classy little kitty.
Wears it like a cape.
So cute.
Down to 118.
Oh, there we go. That's good. Save some more money for food.
Yeah.
And did we get the glasses too,
we're getting
or
the spectacles?
Oh, I vote yes, but
Okay.
I just think it's adorable.
Spectacles. How much are the spectacles?
10.
Easy math. 108. That's some good walking around money for.
Yeah. Exactly.
for the 1920s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have some fun. Have a nice evening out on town with
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah,
Probably a
exactly.
couple evenings. That's what it's all about,
He's a classy kitty. He goes to the high-end speakeasies.
of course.
Yeah.
And then how much damage does the Derringer do?
Oh, okay. Derringer.
Damage, suits...
Oh, yes. So, I was just going to explain how that worked. Once we find...
I found it on the book on page 93, I think. 91, sorry. It says the damage is the suit.
Oh, okay. So, what that means is, when you pull a card for damage, so let's say you successfully strike, there is a table, and there's actually a really handy sort of sheet with all of the basic rules on it. But damage can do suit or color. So suit means spades, hearts, diamonds, or clubs. When you're going to do, an attack or something on someone, let's say an attack, for example, the card that you flipped, that you've accepted for your win, is going to have a suit, obviously, which is, spades, hearts, diamonds, or clubs, and it's going to be either black or red. Depending on the item and depending on the power, you are going to have different options. So, spades do the most damage, and black does more damage. Sometimes it will either be suit, sometimes it will be color, or sometimes it will be something like suit plus 2. Just really not that confusing. It just means that that's the damage that it does, and so obviously you want spades are ideal, and clubs are less so in terms of your options. And this also can tie into your card count. So maybe you pull a club, and you're considering if you want to keep the club, you could think about how many clubs you've already pulled so far. If you pulled a lot of clubs already, the options are more likely that your next card is going to be not a club, and so maybe you might get a higher number, right? So you're not just, when you're pulling cards for your trait challenges, you're not just considering the number on the card, obviously highest is best, and aces are high, but the suit can affect how much damage you do. So you can use that to your advantage when you do that. So that's about really the major kind of rules to get started. I think the only other thing you really need to know is what you can do with your Moxie.
Okay.
What can we do with our Moxie?
So you can increase your card count by 1. So say you've pulled 3 cards and all you've gotten is bad stuff, and you don't want it anymore, you want to try again, you can spend a Moxie and pull another card. You can reduce your damage taken by using a Moxie, which can save your butt in certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
And when you succeed or fail in capers, you can also get a boon or a complication. So you can succeed with a boon, or you can succeed with a complication, or you can fail with a boon, or you can fail with a complication. So you can use a Moxie to give yourself a boon, because those are handy, and you want those. You can shape the narrative. This is a very useful one. I think the easiest example to give is, like, let's say because you're gangsters, you have gone and murdered a guy, and you went out to the desert to bury them. Maybe nobody specifically mentioned, up until this point, having a shovel. So let's say you decide now that you've gotten all the way out to the desert, you can use your Moxie to say, actually, I remembered to put a shovel in the trunk. before we put the guy in there to bury him. So we have a shovel now.
That's what I knocked him out with. What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, you guys were there.
Yeah, you were there. It is a little bit of it sort of gives you the option of kind of retroactively adding something. And, you know, obviously you can't do any kind of game-breaking. We found all the evidence. Spending a moxie to find all the evidence. Like, you know, you kind of have to be reasonable about it, but I've seen this used very, very well a number of times. You can spend 2 moxie to take an extra treat action. So maybe if you're having a big boss fight and you've done your attack and you want to attack again and you have 2 moxie, you can attack again. You can recall a card. So, like, let's say you pull a 5 and then a 10 and then you take a chance and you pull a 2. And you're like, okay, I'm going to spend the moxie to go back to the 10. And I'm going to stick with that one. You can reshuffle your deck, or you can self-sacrifice. So you can use a moxie to take damage for another character.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The character's, like, next to you. You can sort of, like,
All right.
jump in the way.
Hit him with the get down, Mr. President.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, most of the book is either, you know, just kind of more detailed descriptions for the GM to run, you know, combat or that sort of thing. And most of it's lore about cities and places and interesting places to go and things to do as a superpowered gangster in the 1920s.
Always good to know where you can go and what you can do.
Love me a good map, you know.
There are some good maps in here.
I used to, when we would go on road trips when I was younger, I used to have my parents be like, every time we'd stop at a rest stop, I'd be like, I'm grabbing one of each of these brochures. I'm like, things to do in Kentucky? F it. Why not?
Yeah.
My parents would be like, why
Not
do
even
you
going
have...
to Kentucky.
Yeah. They're like, why do you have 20 pieces of paper in your back pocket? And I'm like, reading.
It's important?
Like, yeah, this is important to me. And they're like, again,
it's lore.
I gotta figure out the lore of this place before we get there.
It's local lore.
It's like, we just passed Kentucky. That was 2 states ago. It's like, well, we're gonna go back through it on our way home, aren't we?
Exactly. It'll be really useful that time when I'm asleep.
When I'm asleep, and we're definitely not stopping.
Yeah, I was a big nerd with maps, too.
Yeah.
They're fascinating things.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in this book from what I've been able to see.
Yeah, there's lots of great... Each city has lots and lots of plot hooks. So, there's just plenty of seeds for starting campaigns.
Nice.
So, skimming through here, currently we're at 3 maps.
Mm-hmm.
just scrolling through the PDF of the book.
Yeah, there's a few cities.
I believe, oh yeah, this is Harlem. Well, Harlem plus Jersey and Brooklyn, all, you know, Manhattan and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Avalon, name every city.
Alright, well, you have Minneapolis, Indianapolis, Chattanooga, Timbuktu, Memphis.
There's more.
Joel, let me tell you how many cities there are in the United States.
There's a Springfield in every state.
There's a Springfield. There's a New London, which I guess it's not really a city, but it is an incredibly small town that I passed through just a couple days ago. And I was like, New London, probably still better than regular London. It was like 4 houses.
You never know.
You never know. I've done a number of road trips through the States. There's always some interesting places.
They always have things going on in those states.
Yeah.
Except for Oklahoma. Don't get me started on Oklahoma.
Well, there's some pretty weird little towns in Canada, too, so.
That's fair.
There's a place called Dildo in Newfoundland.
Incredible.
Nobody knows why.
It probably means something else in French, let's be real.
Something like that.
Does it?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. It's totally French.
Let me Google it real quick while I'm screen sharing with you all.
Well, that's a great idea. Absolutely no fallback from searching that. No.
Can't imagine where that would go wrong.
So yeah, we have a lot of interesting places to put Ainsel the Diplo-catic. Atlantic City and New York and Chicago.
What kind of accent do you think Ansel would have?
Oh.
Stereotypical 1920s mobster. But meowing.
But
But
meowing.
Yeah, see?
Meow.
Meow.
Exactly.
Meow. Well, you can't talk, right? So he just goes meow.
Meow. That's all he can do. And that fits perfect.
Yep.
But he's very charismatic. People somehow they just connect.
They hear that and they go, man, this guy's speaking to me. Speaking to my soul.
He just walks up to you and he's like, meow, 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 meow. And you're like, dude,
you're so right.
My mind. You're so right. I love him. And he's.
Yep.
I love the concept of him like just hiding and spying on people and coming back and then maybe there's like one person that can somehow the boss can somehow understand.
Boss has animal affinity.
Yes, exactly. It's like the only person who can actually understand the cat. And nobody else knows the boss understands the cat, I think. Everyone just thinks the boss is crazy.
It's the GM role-playing the boss, and you just hear the person playing as Ansel being, like, meowing for, like, 2 minutes straight, and the GM's like, so this guy tells me there's 4 gangsters sitting up outside.
Somebody leaked something.
And it's always right.
Yeah, it's always the correct information.
Oh, that would be hilarious. That would be really fun. Now I want somebody to actually play this cat in a Capers game.
Hey, bit.ly/literalcatpod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
It's available.
Exactly. Yeah, play this game. Play this character in your Capers game. Or if you're a GM, I say throw this in as one of the gang members.
Absolutely.
An
There you
NPC. As an NPC gang member. Have Ansel the Diploma-Cat. Just to blow everybody's mind, because it'd be so funny. No one would ever suspect.
Nobody expects the cat.
Nobody would expect the cat.
Nope. No one expects the Diplo-cat.
Nobody expects the Diplo-cat, no. I don't think we broke any rules.
No, I was just about to ask.
Yeah.
Now that I'm just kind of skimming over the rules here, I don't think... Yeah, we used everything in the book. We didn't even use the official expansion.
To be fair, I don't even think there's... Well, there probably is, but it doesn't feel like there's an intent to play as a human, though that is always, like, the underlying intent of, like, basically any character creator that we use.
Yeah.
I mean, we were given an optional to play as an animal.
That's true, so I think using that logic, I genuinely think we made it out of this one with a score of 0. Rules broken.
Applause.
Nice.
Yes. Very nicely done.
Nice.
I'm not actually going to give applause. That's probably not good audio, but...
I tried to do a little golf clap there.
So, all that's left then, Avalon. You got the cat pun for us?
Oh, I do. Sorry, hold
yeah.
on. My cat Suki jumped up on my desk.
Aww.
Alright.
Is she going to deliver the cat pun?
I wish she could. Alright. What did one cat say to the other cat while they were struggling to move a couch?
Oh, what did they say?
Don't strain too hard. You'll give yourself a hernia.
Oh.
I told you this one was not good at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
I didn't believe him, because last time it was...
Was it worse or better?
It was better last time, but it was, like, kind of dumb. Which is why I was like, this is bad because it's dumb. This one, as soon as I wrote it, I was like, this one's just bad. It has no extras to it. It's just bad.
No redeeming qualities.
Yeah. Listen, you could only make cat puns out of so many things before you really start running out of ideas.
Exactly.
I want to see somebody else come up with 58 cat puns.
It's a lot. It's a lot. You are gonna have to start dipping into those, like, bathroom reader joke books.
Oh my
That's
gosh,
okay.
yeah.
I've got a big one of those somewhere. Might have to let you borrow it.
Yeah, I'll come up
I think
with
I still
some
have it. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course.
It's been a lot of fun.
This was great.
Yeah. This was great.
And if anybody's tempted, you can buy the book, run an all animals game of capers. So if you wanted to play Lackadaisy with superpowers, here you go.
This would be the way to do it.
It is.
It would be the way to do it.